Let each thing you would do, say, or intend be like that of a dying person. Death is neither a good nor a bad thing. For that alone, which is something, can be a good or a bad thing. But that which is nothing and reduces all things to nothing does not hand us over to either fortune. Because good and bad require some material to work upon. Fortune cannot take a hold of that which nature has let go. Nor can a man be unhappy if he is nothing. I cannot escape death, but at least I can escape the fear of it. Very well. What further concern have I? For my part has been fulfilled. The business belongs to someone else. That is the helmsman. But more than that, the ship goes down. What then have I to do? What I can. That is the only thing I do. I drown without fear, neither shrieking nor crying out against God, but recognizing that what is born must also perish. Death is not an evil. What is it then? The one law mankind has that is free of all discrimination. Is any man afraid of change? What can take place without change? What then is more pleasing or more suitable to the universal nature? And can you take a hot bath unless the wood for the fire undergoes a change? And can you be nourished unless the food undergoes a change? And can anything else that is useful be accomplished without change? Do you not see then that for yourself also to change is just the same and equally necessary for the universal nature? It is not death that a man should fear, but rather he should fear never beginning to live. What is death? A scary mask. Take it off. See, it doesn't bite. Eventually, body and soul will have to separate, just as they existed separately before we were born. So why be upset if it happens now? If it isn't now, it's later. Stop whatever you're doing for a moment and ask yourself, am I afraid of death because I won't be able to do this anymore? What upsets people is not things themselves, but their judgments about the things. For example, death is nothing dreadful, or else it would have appeared dreadful to Socrates. But instead, the judgment about death, that it is dreadful, that is what is dreadful. So, when we are thwarted or upset or distressed, let us never blame someone else, but rather ourselves. That is, our own judgments. An uneducated person accuses others when he is doing badly. A partly educated person accuses himself. An educated person accuses neither someone else nor himself. No evil is honorable, but death is honorable. Therefore, death is not evil. Remember also that each man lives only the present moment. The rest of the time is either spent and gone, or is quite unknown. It is a very little time which each man lives, and in a small corner of the earth. And the longest surviving fame is but short, and this conveyed through a succession of poor mortals, each presently a dying, men who neither knew themselves nor the persons long since dead. When the longest and shortest lived of us dies, their loss is precisely equal. For the sole thing of which any of us can be deprived is the present. Since this is all we own, and nobody can lose what is not theirs. Because a thing seems difficult for you, do not think it impossible for anyone to accomplish. Let us prepare our minds as if we'd come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing. Let us balance life's books each day. The one who puts the finishing touches on their life each day is never short of time. Accept death in a cheerful spirit, as nothing but the dissolution of the elements from which each living thing is composed. If it doesn't hurt the individual elements to change continually into one another, why are people afraid of all them changing and separating? It's a natural thing, and nothing natural is evil. About death, whether it is a dispersion or a resolution into atoms or annihilation, it is either extinction or change. You can discard most of the junk that clutters your mind. Things that exist only there, and you will immediately make vast space for yourself by grasping the whole universe in your thought. By contemplating the eternity of time, and by reflecting on the speed with which things change, each part of everything, the brief gap from birth to death, the infinite time before, and the equally infinite time that follows. When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they can't tell good from evil. But I have seen the beauty of good and the ugliness of evil, and have recognized that the wrongdoer has a nature related to my own, not of the same blood and birth, but the same mind, and possessing a share of the divine. And so none of them can hurt me. No one can implicate me in ugliness, nor can I feel angry at my relative or hate him. We were born to work together, like feet, hands, and eyes, like the two rows of teeth, upper and lower. To obstruct each other is unnatural. To feel anger at someone, to turn your back on him, these are unnatural. I've had something on my mind. And I thought this was a time to be fitting to just talk about it and speak about it because it's something that's helped me and it's been helping me in my life. There's a lot going on in the culture. People are talking about a lot of different things, talking about men, women, relationships, the state of the economy, censorship online. There's a lot of topics floating around. I've been going through a renaissance in my life, and it's all centered around self-improvement, personal growth, development. And one of the tenets that I'm starting to live by has to do with being present. The title of this episode is The Power of Living in the Moment. And it's my intention in this episode to deliver on the reason why being present in life is a gift and is something that a lot of people overlook for a variety of reasons. But I'll tell you, from my personal experience, the times when I've been conscious of it and done that, I've had the best results and been the most and felt the most fulfilled in my life. My name is Monte Lee. I am the host of the Carrot Juice podcast. And at the Carrot Juice podcast, we observe society, we digest it, and through the nuance of it all, we attempt to progress forward. I hope to give you some insight, some life lessons on things that you could use in your life to be more productive, successful, and present moving forward. And that's my intention, and that's what I'm going to do here for you today. I am currently listening to an audiobook by Marcus Aurelius. He was a philosopher, a Stoic, and it's Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. I might link it in the show notes of this episode, but it's all about Stoicism. And Stoicism is all about, in a nutshell, not focusing on all the outside factors that you have going on in your life, because you can't control those things. Instead of doing that, continue to seek knowledge, to use your logic and reason, as well as make sure in that process you focus on the things that you can't control. The number one thing that I have been using and that I didn't even know that I was doing in my life is whenever I am in a tough situation, or whenever money's tight, or I got laid off, or I'm going through a tough time in my life and I don't know what to do next, that's when I get laser focused on what I need to do in the moment to get out of that situation. And some years ago, I was facing situations like that, and I didn't realize that that's what I was doing. And that's how I got out of some difficult times when I was on my last legs, when I was really struggling, when I didn't know where my next meal was going to come. That's what I focus on naturally. And since I've been studying and doing some more research on Stoicism and how you can live and prosper with that philosophy in your life, I'm realizing that that's the key that a lot of people, myself included, forget and is missing in their day-to-day lives. And I know why. You go to social media, you go on YouTube, you go on Instagram, you go on Facebook, and the majority of what you see is negative. Why is it negative, though? It's negative because that's what gets pushed. It's negative because that's what people naturally, a lot of people, not all, a lot of people are drawn to naturally. But it really doesn't help and serve you. And what I started to realize and started to notice was I was becoming less productive. I was looking towards the future too much, or looking at what other people had and other people had going on, rather than focusing on what I can do right here in the moment. And I've talked about this in the past on the podcast, but I think that's what the dangers is of us being so connected when it comes to social media. A lot of people aren't focusing on their situation in life because they're focused on what everybody else has going on. And that's dangerous. It's dangerous to have a snapshot of just the highlights of what people have going on in their life, because let's be honest, let's be real. A lot of people put their best foot forward when it comes to social media, and they don't show you the lowlights. A lot of people are just looking at the highlights of people, and you never see the lowlights of what they have going on, and you start to feel bad about yourself. Especially the young and impressionable people that are online. They don't know what they're going to do yet in their life. They're looking towards the future. They are looking and they're saying, hey, what am I supposed to do here moving forward? And you could get trapped in that. I'm going to give anybody who is feeling trapped and confused and uncertain about what they're doing in their life a key, a gift. This is my gift to you. The gift that I'm giving out to you doesn't cost you a thing. All you have to do to unlock this gift is to focus on what's right in front of you. Because it's my position, and what I think is far too often in life, people are too busy looking behind them towards their past or ahead to the future and trying to figure out what they're going to do and what they're going to get and what they need to do to make it, that they forget about what's right in front of them. And if you instead focused on what's right in front of you, you will be able to have more fulfillment in life. Life will be more enjoyable. You'll be somebody that people want to be around, and you'll get to and above your goals. And I'll elaborate on that. People that people want to be around are people who are what? Charismatic, caring, people who listen to them, actually listen, actively listen. Do you know who those type of people usually are? Those are the type of people who are present and living in the moment. Those are the type of people who are just, they have that level of awareness. And that's the point that I want you to get to. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I'm still working on this. I don't have it all figured out. And I don't claim to have it all figured out. Me speaking on this platform, on this podcast right now, is therapeutic for me to be able to speak about these things that I'm learning. Because in the process of me speaking about the things that I'm learning when it comes to my journey, my life journey in Stoicism, the life lessons that I'm learning from it, hopefully it's going to help me, but it's also hopefully going to help you as well. And as I said, this is a podcast. Sometimes people say, oh, why are you speaking why are you speaking slowly? Speak faster. Sorry, pardon me. This is a podcast. All right. You can listen to it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you consume podcasts. While you're there, do me a favor, rate and review the podcast, please. 5-star, 5-star, 5-star. And also, if you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, whatever platform you're on, like, follow, subscribe to the channel. All right. I appreciate you. Also, I have an announcement to make. I got some inspiration from a content creator that I really look up to and appreciate, Ali Abdaal, here on YouTube. And he did a podcast talking about, or an episode talking about, why everybody should start a newsletter. And he talked about it as a way to be able to add value to people, how to teach people, how to connect with your audience and also interact with your audience. And I thought it was a great idea. And I am pleased to announce that I did that. I followed through and I started a newsletter as well. It's going to be absolutely free and it's called The Juice Review. And I'll give you a little snapshot of what you can see here. I'll probably link it might be linked in the show notes. It's called The Juice Review. And then this is my newsletter right here. I'm proud to announce I'm going to be putting it out every week. I believe it's going to be released on Sundays and it's free to sign up. You just put your name, email there, and you'll get it in your mailbox. I promise to not spam your mailbox or anything. And it's just going to be some insights from me. And what I'm going to be doing is providing like things that I'm learning, things that I'm watching, great podcasts that I've listened to. It's going to be a better way for you to be able to connect with me. I'm also going to be adding in some of the life lessons that I talk about here on this channel, as well as giving some content creation tips centered around if you want to be a content creator. And I'm going to be more in my niche and in my specialty, which would be podcasting. So if you're somebody that wants to eventually become a podcaster, if you want to learn the ropes and figure out what you need to do to get your voice heard, to get your words, to get your message and your story out there, then you should definitely check out the Juice Review. It's going to be linked in the show notes as well as the description. I appreciate you. So when it comes to the topic of being present and in the moment, I'm going to speak from my own experience. The times when I felt the most unenthused and lackluster, almost like I had a fog in my mind or just in life, was when I was thinking about other things. Has that ever been you? Have you ever been somebody you're having a conversation with somebody, or you got something big coming up, some project that you're trying to do, or you're not happy with your job, or you're trying to figure out what you're going to do to be able to move because you don't like the situation that you're in. And your mind is constantly turning and churning and figuring out, what can I do here to get better? Where can I go with here? Who do I need to talk to get out of the situation that I'm in? I call it a fog. We've all been there, right? I have. It's a fog that just kind of glazes over me, and it actually hinders my ability to be the best version of myself. And what I'm learning and what I'm figuring out and what I'm sharing with you when it comes to Stoicism is you can clear up all of your problems and all of those situations that you're going through if you focus on what you can do inherently. What can I do in this moment today to get me to the goals that I eventually want to get to? Because I know I sometimes will constantly be thinking about where I want to be in the next couple of months, or where I want to be in a year, or what I want to accomplish. And sometimes looking ahead and looking out towards a goal too much will distract you from what's right in front of you, which is the process, the work. I don't want to sound like I'm preaching, and that's not what I mean to do. But what I'm learning right now has really been helping me. And unfortunately, what I have not been seeing so much online and especially on YouTube, because I'm a huge fan of YouTube and I've been checking it out. What's been getting pushed a lot in a lot of the algorithms has been negative content, people arguing, people constantly talking about problems, but rarely bringing up solutions. And when somebody talks about solutions, it rarely gets pushed. Why is that? Is it because it's not dramatic? Is it because it's not the easy thing to do? It does take work at times to realize where you're going wrong and where you're faltering, and put the mirror back on yourself as to why you're not where you're supposed to be. I'm going to put it on me. I'm not where I'm supposed to be. I'm not happy. I'm not content with where I'm at in life. But I do know that I'm putting in the work to get to where I need to go. I think once you can be honest with yourself and say, hey, I'm not doing everything that I can do to reach my goals, that's when you can actually trust the process and get ahead. Because this work that I've been going through and I've been doing, it's starting to shape and change the way I look at a lot of things in life. Like before, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, okay? Before, a lot of these big stories that have been happening in the news around, I don't even want to bring up the people's names, but there's been people that's been getting kicked off of the YouTube platform. Okay. In the past, I might have covered some of these topics and talked about some of these things, but I know that's what the majority of people are going to do. I want to add something into the atmosphere that is something that people who are in a situation that's difficult, or they don't know how to handle a situation, they could listen to and they could get hopefully some value out of. So above all else, okay, what I think is starting to happen when it comes to so many things, especially online, is you need to start minding and being mindful of the negative thoughts, the negative media, the attention seeking type of content that's starting to pollute so much of these platforms. I'm not knocking nobody. I understand people need to get their hustle. But what I'm saying is your time above anything else in this world is the most crucial thing that everybody has. Okay. Make sure that if you're going to be spending your time on something, it's something that's going to be adding value to you in some way. I love entertainment. I love to listen to a good conversation, what have you. But it gets to a point in your life if you don't have a place to stay, if you about to get foreclosed on, if you about to go bankrupt and everything, I think it's time to start looking inwardly and being like, hey, what can I do? What do I need to do in my life to get out of this situation? And it's not focusing on what anybody else has going on in their life. That's just the honest truth. And I'm saying this because I was that person 4 or 5 years ago where I was really tough, down bad on my luck. And I couldn't afford to sit back and think about what other people had going on. I had to grind, okay? Or I was going to be out on my butt on the street. You know, I was out knocking on doors to make commissions to make money. And I did it. I did it with a smile on my face. But what I'm saying is there comes times in your life where, I mean, you just have to push through. OK, and be present in the moment and not worry about what anybody else has going on. And this has been on my heart and on my mind because I see a lot of the youth spending a lot of time on YouTube, a lot of young men. A lot of young men, unfortunately, don't get enough attention in society as to leadership and mentorship and things that they should be thinking about and focusing on. And if I could talk to my younger self when I was, 16, 17, trying to come up, what I would say is focus on learning, focus on seeking out wisdom and knowledge, seek out mentorship, focus on developing, try to get better each day at something, ask questions, have a curious mind, and beyond all of that, put in the work. There's so many things that could distract us in our lives. And fortunately for me, I was born in the 80s, okay? Late 80s. I got to grow up in a time before these were very popular. I'm so fortunate and happy about that. Anybody watching on the replay or what have you, I know you can relate. Before these smartphones got very big, people still had to talk with one another. We still had conversations. we still went out and, socialized and stuff. And what I'm starting to see more so than anything, especially with younger people, with the youth and young people, are not socializing with one another as much. They're spending more time behind the screens. They're spending more time in online chat rooms and forums and you name it. And what the damage to that is, you can lose some of your ability to, like, your social skills, your soft skills, your ability to interact and to, have camaraderie with other people. And that's unfortunate, because that's one of the greatest gifts that fortunately I was given from the time that I grew up in. And also my experience of playing sports. Like, if you don't know, I played basketball. I played basketball in college, and I was the captain on the team, and I loved that experience because it helped to build character within me. It taught me about adversity. It taught me about competition. It also helped me to bond with my teammates and to have that camaraderie with them. And those are things that young men could really benefit from. If you can, I would, anybody that's able-bodied, I would say join sports. If you don't like sports, join a group, a team. You like to play chess. You like to, go running, cross country or whatever. Get a group, get a team, because it'll help you to be able to socialize with fellow people that are like you. And it's something that people don't talk about enough. A lot of people just want to talk about what other people have going on in their life, and they're not focusing on the things that they could do in their life to get them moving forward. I spent a lot of time as a young man listening to music, going around, looking at other stuff that other people had going on in their life, not focusing on me at times. And I would be in a way better position right now if I took the advice that I'm speaking right now. Don't worry about trying to please everybody. Think about what you want to do, what you want to accomplish in your life. Seek out mentorship, and then focus on what you can do today, this week, this month to get to those goals. And I'm just kind of ranting at this point, but that's okay. I just wanted to say something real. I just had something real to say to get off my chest, because the negativity that's starting to be spread online all the time will not serve you. It won't serve you one iota. As a man, let me be honest, let me be real with you. As a man, nobody's coming to save you. If you want something, you're going to have to go get it. The best way you could do that is focusing on this moment right now. What are you going to do in this moment to get to and above your goals? Chances are it's probably not going to be playing the video game the whole day. Chances are it's probably going to mean seeking out mentorship, figuring out if it's somebody that does something that you want to do, go and see if you could get mentorship from them. See if you could, help them with what they have going on. And in return, you might not even get compensated for it, but you might get some knowledge that could help you grow and develop. Here's a life lesson right here. As a young person growing up, it's not about money right now. The most valuable thing for a young person to get when they're coming up is knowledge. Knowledge from people who have already experienced life. Because if you could learn from somebody who's already got 15 years more experience than you in life, you can supplant them and jump ahead in knowledge without making the mistakes they made the 15 years before. Does that make sense? Learn from people who have more experience than you. it's going to help you so much more. And I know I've been a young man. I've been a young person before. Oh, I got it handled. I know what I'm doing, all of that. Listen, if somebody's willing to give you some knowledge and some game who has more experience than you, adhere to it. You can learn from those 10, 15, 20 years that they had already experienced in their life. And then you can take it as a blueprint and go and be better and do better. And it's not that we're competing with one another, but what I'm saying is utilize the resources that you have here on YouTube. If you want to do something, I always say with young people, if you want to like make more money, earn more income, get into coding, get into the trades. If you don't want to go to college, there's so many resources for young people. And I know that was kind of a tangent that I went on, but that was just on my heart. I think this is important because in this present moment that we're in currently, with everything that's starting to happen with inflation, with I just seen it was a report. There was a lot of layoffs recently. I'm talking about a lot of layoffs at a lot of major companies. So I don't want to like stoke fear in people, but people need to start getting focused and laser focused on what it is that they want to do exactly in their lives, especially for my men, because as we know, there's not a lot of programs. There's not a lot of resources for you if you do fall on hard times, if you don't have a support system or a structure. And I want you to succeed. I want you to be successful, and I want you to be the best version of yourselves. And the best way that you can do that I've learned is by being present in the moment, focusing on what you can control, not making excuses about the outside factors that might be holding you down or that you perceive or think that are holding you down. Still, nobody's going to come save you and help you. You got to figure it out. And the best way I can tell you from experience, you can do that is by focusing on what you can control. And I think that I've learned a lot these past, how long has it been that I've been doing this podcast now? I've learned so much in the past. It's been like a year and a half. I think this is officially episode number 79 of the podcast. Yes, I think it's episode 70. We're getting up there. And just a reminder for my audio listeners, I used to release the podcast every Tuesday. Now the podcast is going to be getting released. You're going to get an episode at least every Friday. All right. So we got a new posting schedule. Get an episode every Friday. Subscribe on YouTube, like the channel, hit the notification bell, because you never know when I'm going to go live. I just go live, at a whim. You never know when I'm going to go live. So make sure that you are subscribed on YouTube as well. This is episode number 79 of the Karat Juice podcast. And also, housekeeping stuff, karatjuicepodcast.com. Go to karatjuicepodcast.com for everything Karat Juice Podcast. Also, check out the newsletter. We got another commercial for that. Check out the newsletter here for free. It's going to be linked in the description in the show notes, where I'm going to be providing insights on culture. I'll be providing some practical life lessons, productivity insights. I'll even be talking about content creation, specifically giving tips for people who want to start their own podcast. I have experience and some expertise on this, so I can definitely help you out, and you can learn from some of the mistakes and also some of the wins that I've made. Subscribe to the newsletter, The Juice Review. I appreciate you. Also, yes, lastly, I have a Reddit community that I built and I started. It is called Karat Juice Podcast, our Karat Juice Podcast. It should be in the show notes too, linked in the description. And there, I just wanted to have a place where I could speak to the community, speak to people, and we could chat about things that we have going on. So if you want to be on Reddit, I want to be able to interact and, chat with people. So do me a favor and go ahead and join the Reddit if you want to interact with me that way. If you don't like Reddit, you don't want to do it, fine. That's cool either. Oh, and we got somebody right here adding a comment. Shout out to you, James Hartley. So James Hartley says, hey, KJP, how are you doing? I'm doing well, sir. Shout out to you. He said, I'm sadly not a young man anymore, and I'm always trying to learn from others. Awesome. Yes, I agree. Shout out to you. I appreciate you interacting on the broadcast, but I agree. Yes. I always say people should never stop learning. You should never stop learning, because I don't know if it's for me, but once I stop learning, I feel stagnant in life. So I'm always either listening to a podcast, audio book, checking out stuff on YouTube, trying to figure out what I can do. Because and I think the people that I'm drawn to, I've always had a curious mind. Like somebody's podcast that I used to listen to and all the time was Joe Rogan's, because he, even if he didn't believe in the person that he was interviewing, he was curious about what they were talking about or things that people have done in their life. And he would question and he would be curious. And I think that having a curious mind is something that's just like a great spice of life that will help you to always be present in the moment and learning and developing and growing. So yeah, shout out to you. Appreciate you interacting on the channel. Lastly, this is what I'll say, man. Like, I'm going to be doing live streams from time to time. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already, hit the podcast feed for my people who just want to be podcast listeners. But in regards to YouTube, in regards to content creation and all this type of stuff, this is something that if you want to be a content creator, if you want to create your own podcast and things like that, it is not something that it's not something that's going to be an instant gratification type of thing. And I think that's why I like it. I like it because it's something I constantly have to constantly something I am trying to learn and to get better at and to develop. And it forces me to like stay on task. It forces me to have a process about how I'm doing things. That's why I'm drawn to creating content and also just expressing myself. I think, especially for men, it's important for us to get our message out there. I choose, and I want to make sure that the message that I'm putting out is one that's about self-improvement, progress, growth, and personal development. But I think it's important for people to be able to speak. And in light of a lot of the stuff that's been happening online with people getting banned off of platforms and stuff like that, I do think that you have to be wise about what you say and you have to stand on what you say. But I think it's important for people to have a voice and to hear people speak who have a differing opinion than you, because if you try to shun the people who don't think the same way that you do, that's when you can get into a dangerous space, because I think it's important to form a deeper level of understanding. We have opposing sides. Nobody wants an echo chamber when it comes to media. And right here, this is independent media. This is the Karat Juice podcast, again, where we observe society, we digest it, and through the nuance of it all, we attempt to progress forward. I don't have all the answers. I don't claim to. Also, like I say, I'm going to end it right here. All right. Like I say every time on the Karat Juice podcast, love someone, hug someone, do something good for someone, not expecting anything in return. And until we meet again, I'll see you guys. Peace. We're gone. Being deeply loved by someone gives you strength, while loving someone deeply gives you courage. Do the difficult things while they are easy, and do the great things while they are small. A journey of 1,000 miles must begin with a single step. Be the chief, but never the Lord. Life is a series of natural and spontaneous changes. Don't resist them. That only creates sorrow. Let reality be reality. Let things flow naturally forward in whatever way they like. Great acts are made up of small deeds. A leader is best when people barely know he exists. When his work is done, his aim fulfilled, they will say, "We did it ourselves." Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. Treat those who are good with goodness, and also treat those who are not good with goodness. Thus, goodness is attained. Be honest to those who are honest, and also honest to those who are not honest. Thus, honesty is attained. To the mind that is still, the whole universe surrenders. Kindness in words creates confidence. Kindness in thinking creates profoundness. Kindness in giving creates love. If you do not change direction, you may end up where you are heading. Health is the great possession. Contentment is the greatest treasure. Confidence is the greatest friend. Non-being is the greatest joy. Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power. The power of intuitive understanding will protect you from harm until the end of your days. When you are content to be simply yourself and don't compare or compete, everybody will respect you. He who knows does not speak. He who speaks does not know. I have just 3 things to teach: simplicity, patience, compassion. These 3 are your greatest treasures. When I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. Be content with what you have. Rejoice in the way things are. When you realize there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you. He who conquers others is strong. He who conquers himself is mighty. In dwelling, live close to the ground. In thinking, keep to the simple. In conflict, be fair and generous. In governing, don't try to control. In work, do what you enjoy. In family life, be completely present. An ant on the move does more than a dozing ox. The wicked leader is he who the people despise. The good leader is he who the people revere. The great leader is he who the people say, "We did it ourselves." To lead people, walk behind them. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. The nameless is the origin of heaven and earth. The named is the mother of all things. Man's enemies are not demons, but human beings like himself. When virtue is lost, benevolence appears. When benevolence is lost, right conduct appears. When right conduct is lost, expedience appears. Expediency is the mere shadow of right and truth. It is the beginning of disorder. If you would take, you must first give. This is the beginning of intelligence. Truthful words are not beautiful. Beautiful words are not truthful. Good words are not persuasive. Persuasive words are not good. Silence is a source of great strength. At the center of your being, you have the answer. You know who you are, and you know what you want. The wise man does not lay up his own treasures. The more he gives to others, the more he has for his own. Respond intelligently, even to unintelligent treatment. One cannot reflect in streaming water. Only those who know internal peace can give it to others. He who does not trust enough will not be trusted. If you realize that all things change, there is nothing you will try to hold on to. If you are not afraid of dying, there is nothing you cannot achieve. Have you ever taken the time to think about your mortality? The fact, the natural state of things, that at some point that you don't know yet, you're no longer gonna exist here on this earth in the form that you currently are in. A lot of people don't think about it. It could be scary. It could be something that is in the back of mind with all of the things you have to do in your life, whether it's running errands, whether it is looking after loved ones, whether it is accomplishing things you want to accomplish. But at some point in time, everything that begins will eventually end. And somewhere and throughout the middle of that time, we live. Why am I saying all of this? This is important because to truly live, Memento Mori. To truly live, you have to remember that you will die. We are all flesh and bone. We are all living our lives, going through the day-to-day things that we're doing. But every day that passes, you're closer to your eventual end. I don't say this in a way to frighten you, to make you feel scared about what's going to happen. This is actually something, if you give me the time, which is going to be beneficial to you. Because what I've been studying when it comes to personal growth, development, focusing on the present and not the external factors and the outside things that are happening in your life, Stoicism. The Stoics, the Greek philosophers, they put a high priority on just what I'm talking about. Embracing your mortality. Because if you can embrace your mortality and you can no longer fear it, you can recognize and you can have gratitude and appreciate each day, each moment, each hour, each minute, each second that you live, because you know today you will never live today again. This is actually a gift that they realized and that they noticed way back then. In life, you only can control what you are doing right now here in this moment. Today. That's what you can control until you have no more days. What are you going to be doing to make sure that you make the most of that time? That you seize the day, you grasp and you capture it, and you don't take your time for granted. That's what I'm learning. That's what I'm figuring out. And that's what I want you to use to not have any regrets when it's all over. That's what the Stoics knew. They knew that the key to having a fulfilled life, the key to truly not having any regrets when it comes to the end of life, is embracing their mortality, having gratitude and appreciation for each day, each moment. And when they're going through their life, seeking wisdom, seeking knowledge, and using all of that to teach other people and to help other people gain enlightenment and fulfillment and contentment in their lives. That's what it's all about. Why is this on my mind? This is on my mind because I've always been a deep thinker. I've always been somebody that is a free thinker. I've been observant my whole life. And for a while now, I've just kind of been thinking and wondering, like, there has to be more to life than this. Life is more than your monotony. Life is more than the circumstances that you are going through right here in this moment. Life is more than the problems you have going on right here today. What are you going to do? And what's going to happen when your time's up? When you're no longer here? Will you leave an impact beyond only what you want? When I start to think about things in that way, I start to feel some regret. I start to feel some regret when I think about a lot of the desires and things that I've had in my life that have just simply solely been based on what I want to accomplish, what I'm feeling, what I want to do with my life, where I want to go. Because you know what? When it's all said and done, and when my time has come, you know what's going to be one of the least important things I'm starting to realize? The problems and the things that I'm thinking about right here in this moment. How do I get beyond that? And you want to know what the answer to that is? Not thinking about myself. Leaving an impact and helping other people. Being gracious and having gratitude for each day that I have, each moment that I have. And when you put things into perspective like that, you can have true joy in your life, fulfillment. And I'm saying all of this to say, guard and protect your mind. Make sure that you are appreciative of your time. Because your time, more so than anything, is a resource that you can never, ever get back. And I think a lot of people don't recognize that. A lot of people don't recognize that it's a privilege to be able to be alive. And once you embrace that you are mortal, that we are mortal, and we're in this journey of life together, we can reach out and be appreciative of what we have in front of us and try to leave the world better than we left it. My name is Monte Lee. I am the host of the Carrot Juice podcast. This is episode number 80. And at the Carrot Juice podcast, we observe society. We digest it. And through the nuance of it all, we attempt to progress forward. I don't claim to have all the answers, but it's my intention here in this episode to give you some perspective, some insight, and some lessons that I've been learning around why it's important to embrace your mortality, to live, to truly live. If you're listening to the podcast, audio format, do me a favor. Rate and review the podcast, please. 5-star on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It really helps me out. And if you're on Facebook, YouTube, or any other platform that you're listening to this episode, do me a favor as it helps out. Engage with the content. Write me a question if you have one. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and select all so you get notified Anytime I drop a piece of content, if I'm adding value to you, great. If you dislike it, dislike the video. It's okay. I appreciate you taking the time. And I want to honor your time for you even taking the time to listen to this program. My mind and my consciousness has been changing at a rapid rate. And my journey when it comes to personal development really started to take off when I faced adversity in my life. A lot of people have had all different types of things that they've went through in their lives. But when I was down on my luck, when I was laid off, when I didn't know when I was going to get my next meal, when I didn't know where my next check was going to come from, or if I was going to get evicted or not, that's when I had to think in the moment and in the present. And it was one of the greatest gifts that I've ever experienced in my life. It showed me what my true character really is, and that I can withstand and deal with change and adversity and issues. And I think in society, because of all the modern conveniences that we have, a lot of people never truly face real adversity. You're fortunate. You got you got your family in the household. You got meals every day. You have money. You have an allowance to pay for the food that you want. Everything is cookie cutter and laid out for you to where you never face adversity. And to me, if somebody is in that situation, not saying it's you, but some people are in that situation, and you know what that is to them, it seems like it's a great life. It seems like it's great things, but that actually is not a good foundation for somebody to be prepared for real life. You need to look at life like this. The obstacles that you have, the adversity, the challenges that you have, you look at them as an opportunity. The adversity that you're facing right here in this moment is an opportunity for you to test yourself, to challenge yourself, to grow as a person. If you have that mentality with whatever it is that you're going through, that's how you can become unbreakable. That's how nothing at all in this world can keep you down. I want you to be unbreakable because you have mental strength. And that all comes from Stoicism. Focusing on what you can control and not worrying about all the outside factors. My life has been changing. I want your life to change. I want you to get better outcomes out of life. And I know if this reaches one person who needs it, I've fulfilled and completed my purpose and my intention for this episode. The topic of this episode is centered around mortality. And I asked my audience if they feared death. And a lot of people said no. And some people said yes, they do. But I'll be honest with you, before I really dove deep into the information that I've been studying when it comes to Stoicism, I would say that, yes, I've had a deep fear of death because I want to accomplish things. I want to make an impact. I want to leave a legacy. And I think that's a natural feeling to have. But the more I study Stoicism, the more I'm starting to realize that you should not fear death. Marcus Aurelius, he said, you should not fear death. I want to get the quote exactly right and not misquote him. Let me get it pulled up. Great Roman emperor and great Stoic philosopher. He said this, Marcus Aurelius. He said, it is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live. That hit home with me because if you get caught up in worrying about things you can't control, about when your demise is going to come or when you're going to no longer be on this earth as a mortal, you can get lost in that because you have no control when you really think about it on when that's going to happen. And you could get lost in the worry and the doubt and the possible regrets if you're not mindful that one day that's going to happen. And from the time that I have now leading up to when I go, what am I going to do about it is what you need to think about. Because regret comes from not fulfilling or not doing what you can here in this moment until that date, that expiration date. That's where true regret comes from, not doing what you could in the time that you've had. Because the Stoics believed that if you live a life where you build your character, you seek knowledge, you seek wisdom, you teach others, and you live according to your code and your purpose, when you eventually go, you will have a good death. You will not leave anything on the table. No bullets in the chamber, figuratively speaking. You let it all out there. You left it all out in the field for my sports fans. Leave it all out on the field. Ask yourself, did I do everything that I can or I could have today to reach what I want to reach or do what I want to do? Let me rephrase that a little bit. You have to think about it like this. Marcus Aurelius, he also had another quote that I'm very fond of, and he said this: let each thing you would do, say, or intend be like that of a dying person. Let each thing you would do, say, or intend be like that of a dying person. That puts things into perspective, at least for me. If you ask yourself, did the things that I did today, if it was my last day, could I not wake up tomorrow and be okay and content with that and resign my post? Ask yourself that question. That hits home, right? Because when you ask yourself that question, It makes you appreciate the time that you have. I have another quote here, and something that's hit home to me that I got to listen to and got to take in from somebody I admire, Ali Abdaal. And he was speaking with Oliver Burkeman, the author of 4,000 Weeks. And he said this, and it really struck a chord with me. 4,000 weeks is in reference to everybody, if you live a full life here on this earth, has 4,000 weeks to live. 4,000 weeks. Put that into perspective. Oliver Burkeman says this: the harder you struggle to fit everything in, the more of your time you'll find yourself spending on the least meaningful things. The reason for this effect is straightforward. The more firmly you believe it ought to be possible to find time for everything, the less pressure you'll feel to ask whether any given activity is the best use for a portion of your time. Whenever you encounter some potential new item for your to-do list or your social calendar, you'll be strongly biased in favor of accepting it, because you'll assume you needn't sacrifice any other tasks or opportunities in order to make a space for it. If you never stop to ask yourself if the sacrifice is worth it, your days will automatically begin to fill not just with more things, but with more trivial or tedious things, because they've never had to clear the hurdle of being judged more important than something else. Oliver Burkeman. I found that important because I think what puts the fog over us, what blinds us in our day-to-day lives, is the menial task. It's the monotony. It's the routine. It's going through your day-to-day things that you do, whether it's commuting to work, completing tasks, speaking to people just kind of willy-nilly and not really thinking about what you're saying. Small talk. What happens when you're doing all of that is you're not present. You're kind of just on autopilot. I know I've felt this, and I feel this in my life. Sometimes we're just on autopilot in our lives, and we're not really present in the moment in our conversations. I've felt this before, and when I feel like that, there's a fog over my life, and I'm not really truly living. So I encourage you throughout this week, with whatever you're doing in your life, try to be cognizant of where you are mentally and try to be more present in the conversations that you're having, because you'll never live today again. Everybody in this world, if you live a full life, you have 4,000 weeks to live. Make today count. Make this hour count. Make this minute count. Leave no regrets. Seize the day. It's yours. Have gratitude and appreciate it. Because it's my position, it's my belief that embracing your mortality, recognizing that you have a finite amount of time here on this earth, will help you to be more centered, more grounded, and eventually to appreciate and to live out your true purpose. Because I don't know if it's just me, but I know it's a lot of people. We're kind of meandering through life and we're trying to find purpose. And especially for men, a lot of us could go astray. A lot of us could get weak. A lot of us could get weary if we don't have purpose in our lives. You are here for a reason. You were meant to do something. The fact that you're here at all is a miracle. The fact that you're here at all is a miracle. Don't let nobody tell you otherwise. And I'll say this too. Please stop with the negative self-talk. Don't put yourself down. Listen to me. Don't put yourself down. A wise Greek philosopher said this: there are more things likely to frighten us than there are to crush us. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Lucius Seneca. Again, there are more things likely to frighten us than there are to crush us. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Lucius Seneca. What does he mean by that? When you have negative self-talk, when you're putting yourself down, when you're thinking that you're a loser, when you're getting down on yourself, if you continue to say that and you do that and you are imagining that in your mind, it will be confirmed in your life. Whereas if you have a mentality where you can overcome your obstacles, that situation that you're in right here in this moment, where you don't know where your next meal is going to come, where you're mentally fragile, where you're scared and you're fearful, use that. Use those obstacles. Use that situation as fuel. Because then when you're in the moment, you can put all your focus on what you need to do right now to succeed and to get ahead. Stop the negative self-talk. You suffer far more in your mind than taking action towards something. Taking action and moving whatever it might be to you, if that's getting a job, whether that's starting to work and develop a skill, you're going to feel better about yourself in your life if you take action today to actually reach the goal that you want. Trust me with this. This is very important. What I'm starting to realize and notice is mentality, more so than anything when it comes to life, is what's going to help you succeed and get ahead. And it's not for monetary gain. It's not for status. It's not for any of that. It's for you. You have to do it for you. Because living in the moment and in the present and with your purpose is going to get you where you're eventually supposed to be, no matter what that outcome is. This is important to me because I want to make sure that I leave it all out on the field. I want to make sure that my words in this platform and what I'm doing here is helping somebody. Because we all go through it and we've all been through it. And I've been through some tough stuff in my life where I didn't know where my next meal was going to come. Where I didn't know. I always haven't been confident. That's something that you build up over time. I don't have all the answers. I don't claim to. But what I'm learning, what I'm discovering about myself is my mentality is strong. If I don't know something, I'm going to learn about it. If I learn something that I find interesting, I'm going to teach it because it helps me along with the person that I'm teaching it to. This is all lessons that I've learned from Stoicism, living in the moment and in the present. And Halloween is coming up. I know a lot of people are going to be going out and, having good times with their friends and everything and eating candy. But this was on my mind when it comes to Memento Mori, remembering that you will die, because you see all the skulls, you see all of the festivities when it comes to Halloween. And when I was looking at that and observing that and remembering Memento Mori, it made me think like all of these things in our lives are connected. We all have a part to play in the universe. But when you think about it on a scale of all the people that have lived before and all the people that will live before us, our time here on this earth is very minuscule. Very minuscule. The problems that you have right now here today aren't going to mean nothing in the grand scheme of things. But you know what's going to matter? And what can stand the test of time? What you do for other people. The impact that you have. Are you actually affecting change and doing something that's beyond yourself? That's what's driving me. What's driving me more so than anything as well, I've gotten feedback from somebody who listens to the podcast. And it warmed my heart to hear that my words are helping somebody, in particular, helping a young man who said he was really in a bad way not too long ago. He was facing addiction. He's currently without a home, homeless. But he reached out to me and he said, I appreciate you for what you do. Thank you for putting out the content. I'm sitting down here right now at a fast food restaurant, watching your videos, and what you're doing and saying here on this platform is helping me push through. That's all the confirmation that I need here. I've always said from the beginning, if I can help one person increase and develop their mentality, then that's enough for me. And all I want to say is I appreciate you. You know who you are. Keep pushing. Keep grinding. Take it one day at a time. And if you have that approach, you cannot fail. Remember, everybody has 4,000 weeks to live when they live a full life. Don't waste your time. Don't squander it. Remember, we're all flesh and bone. We all will eventually meet our end, and that's not a bad thing. I choose to live in the present. I choose to seize the day. And I want you to have that same mentality when it comes to whatever you're doing in this life. Let's leave it all out in the field. Let's grind. Let's become the best version of ourselves. And I also want to make sure that I say this. Mental health is real. It's the fall season. People are isolated. Reach out to your friends. Reach out to your people. Some people don't show it, don't say it, but are going through some things. Reach out to your brothers. Reach out to your sisters. reach out to your family, your friends, and make sure that you check on people and you don't just think about your own self-interest. I am a victim of this and I could do a better job. But I just wanted to check in and be real with you guys. I'm leaning into life lessons, mentality, and stoicism here on this channel. I hope you found value out of this information. I appreciate you. I appreciate anybody that's listening right now to the podcast episode. I appreciate you for taking the time, so much of the precious time you have to listen to me speak on this topic. And I hope I made it worthwhile for you. Rate and review the podcast, please, as it helps me. 5-star, 5-star, 5-star on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you consume podcasts. And if you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or wherever platform like it, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you get notified anytime I drop a piece of content. Like I say every time on the Carrot Juice podcast, I want you to love someone. I want you to hug someone. Do something good for someone, not expecting anything in return. And until we speak again, peace. We are gone. The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best. Have this thought ever present with thee. When thou losest any outward thing, what thou gainest in its stead, and if this be the more precious, say not, I have suffered loss. There is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power or our will. The anger of an ape, the threat of a flattered, these deserve equal regard. When you want to hear a philosopher, do not say, "You say nothing to me." Only show yourself worthy or fit to hear, and then you will see how you will move the speaker. Friend, bethink you first what it is that you would do, and then what your own nature is able to bear. He who laughs at himself never runs out of things to laugh at. Attach yourself to what is spiritually superior, regardless of what other people think or do. Hold to your true aspirations, no matter what is going on around you. To you, all you have seems small. To me, all I have seems great. Your desire is insatiable. Mine is satisfied. From this instant on, vow to stop disappointing yourself. Separate yourself from the mob. In every affair, consider what precedes and what follows, and then undertake it. If you seek truth, you will not seek to gain a victory by every possible means. And when you have found truth, you need not fear being defeated. When you are offended at any man's fault, turn to yourself and study your own failings. Then you will forget your anger. True instruction is this: to learn to wish that each thing should come to pass as it does. Be free from grief, not through insensibility like the irrational animals, nor through want of thought like the foolish, but like a man of virtue, by having reason as the consolation of grief. Decide to be extraordinary and do what you need to do now. I laugh at those who think they can damage me. They do not know who I am. They do not know what I think. They cannot even touch the things which are really mine and with which I live. Suffering arises from trying to control what is uncontrollable, or from neglecting what is within our power. However he may treat me, I must deal rightly by him. This is what lies with me, what none can hinder. No matter what happens, it is within my power to turn it to my advantage. Nothing is in reality either pleasant or unpleasant by nature, but all things become so through habit. The appearance of things to the mind is the standard of every action to man. To accuse others for one's own misfortune is a sign of want of education. To accuse oneself shows that one's education has begun. To accuse neither oneself nor others shows that one's education is complete. Any person capable of angering you becomes your master. Give me, by all means, the shorter and nobler life, instead of one that is longer but of less account. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is one by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Take care not to hurt the ruling faculty of your mind. If you were to guard against this in every action, you should enter upon those actions more safely. Nature hath given men one tongue, but 2 ears, that we may hear from others twice as much as we speak. The essence of philosophy is that a man should so live that his happiness shall depend as little as possible on external things. People are not disturbed by things, but by the views they take of them. Everything has 2 handles, the one by which it may be carried, the other by which it cannot. A city is not adorned by external things, but by the virtue of those who dwell in it. If you ever happen to turn your attention to externals for the pleasure of anyone, be assured that you have ruined your scheme of life. He who exercises wisdom exercises the knowledge which is about God. The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best. Things in our control are opinion, pursuit, desire, aversion, and, in a word, whatever are our own actions. If you are in pain, you will find fortitude. If you hear unpleasant language, you will find patience. Disease is an impediment to the body, but not to the will, unless the will itself chooses. Let whatever appears to be the best be to you an inviolable law. Those proficient praise no one, blame no one, and accuse no one. Events happen as they do. People behave as they are. Embrace what you actually get. Never call yourself a philosopher, nor talk a great deal among the unlearned about theorems, but act conformably to them. If you would be a reader, read. If a writer, write. Things not in our control are body, property, reputation, command, and, in one word, whatever are not our own actions. When, therefore, anyone provokes you, be assured that it is your own opinion which provokes you. Lameness is an impediment to the leg, but not to the will. For states are well governed by the wisdom of men, but not by stone and wood. You are but an appearance, and not absolutely the thing you appear to be. Remember that you ought to behave in life as you would at a banquet. Other people's views and troubles can be contagious. Don't sabotage yourself by unwittingly adopting negative, unproductive attitudes through your associations with others. Some things are in our control, and others not. Fortify yourself with contentment, for this is an impregnable fortress. With every accident, ask yourself what abilities you have for making a proper use of it. Circumstances don't make the man. They only reveal him to himself. It is better to do wrong seldom and to own it and to act right for the most part than seldom to admit that you have done wrong and to do wrong often. Let no man think that he is loved by any who loveth none. Keep your attention focused entirely on what is truly your own concern. And be clear that what belongs to others is their business and none of yours. You are a little soul carrying a corpse. Most of what passes for legitimate entertainment is inferior or foolish and only caters to or exploits people's weaknesses. Death is nothing terrible, else it would have appeared so to Socrates. But the terror consists in our notion of death, that it is terrible. He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. No man is free who is not master of himself. What is the first business of one who practices philosophy? To get rid of self-conceit. For it is impossible for anyone to begin to learn that which he thinks he already knows. First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Since it is reason which shapes and regulates all other things, it ought not itself to be left in disorder. We should not have either a blunt knife or a freedom of speech which is ill managed. Demand not that things happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do, and you will go on well. You can be invincible if you enter into no contest in which it is not in your power to conquer. Reason is not measured by size or height, but by principle. Who are those people by whom you wish to be admired? Are they not these whom you are in the habit of saying that they are mad? What then? Do you wish to be admired by the mad? But if you chance to be placed in some superior station, will you presently set yourself up for a tyrant? No thing great is created suddenly, any more than a bunch of grapes or a fig. The origin of sorrow is this: to wish for something that does not come to pass. In a word, neither death, nor exile, nor pain, nor anything of this kind is the real cause of our doing or not doing any action. but our inward opinions and principles. If it is good to use attention tomorrow, how much better is it to do so today? Every art and every faculty contemplates certain things as its principal objects. It is unlikely that the good of a snail should reside in its shell. So is it likely that the good of a man should? Any one thing in the creation is sufficient to demonstrate a providence to an humble and grateful mind. Man, what are you talking about? Me in chains? You may fetter my leg, but my will, not even Zeus himself can overpower. Freedom is secured not by the fulfilling of men's desires, but by the removal of desire. In theory, there is nothing to hinder our following what we are taught. But in life, there are many things to draw us aside. The poor body must be separated from the spirit either now or later, as it was separated from it before. It is difficulties that show what men are. The philosopher's school, ye men, is a surgery. You ought not to go out of it with pleasure, but with pain, for you are not in sound health when you enter. Practice yourself, for heaven's sake, in little things, and thence proceed to greater. And be silent for the most part, or else make only the most necessary remarks, and express these in few words. It is my business to manage carefully and dexterously whatever happens. God save me from fools with a little philosophy. No one is more difficult to reach. To be getting an education means this: to be learning what is your own and what is not your own. Freedom and slavery. The one is the name of virtue, and the other of vice, and both are acts of the will. No man is able to make progress when he is wavering between opposite things. If you tell me that you desire a fig, I answer you that there must be time. Let it first blossom, then bear fruit, then ripen. You are not alone. Nay, God is within, and your genius is within. To the rational being, only the irrational is unendurable, but the rational is endurable. Is freedom anything else than the power of living as we choose? For on these matters, we should not trust the multitude who say that none ought to be educated but the free, but rather to philosophers who say that the educated are free. Don't explain your philosophy. Embody it. First learn the meaning of what you say, and then speak. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Seek not the good in external things. Seek it in yourselves. A ship should not ride on a single anchor, nor life on a single hope. It's time to stop being vague. If you wish to be an extraordinary person, if you wish to be wise, then you should explicitly identify the kind of person you aspire to become. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Don't just say you have read books. Show that through them you have learned to think better, to be a more discriminating and reflective person. Books are the training weights of the mind. They are very helpful, but it would be a bad mistake to suppose that one has made progress simply by having internalized their contents. There are some things which men confess with ease, and others with difficulty. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Although we can't control which roles are assigned to us, it must be our business to act our given role as best we possibly can and to refrain from complaining about it. Wherever you find yourself and in whatever circumstances, give an impeccable performance. Of pleasures, those which occur most rarely give the most delight. Caretake this moment. Immerse yourself in its particulars. Respond to this person, this challenge, this deed. Quit evasions. Stop giving yourself needless trouble. It is time to really live, to fully inhabit the situation you happen to be in now. It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. Remember, it is not enough to be hit or insulted to be harmed. You must believe that you are being harmed. If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation, which is why it is essential that we not respond impulsively to impressions. Take a moment before reacting, and you will find it easier to maintain control. Now is the time to get serious about living your ideals. How long can you afford to put off who you really want to be? Your nobler self cannot wait any longer. Put your principles into practice now. Stop the excuses and the procrastination. This is your life. You aren't a child anymore. The sooner you set yourself to your spiritual program, the happier you will be. The longer you wait, the more you'll be vulnerable to mediocrity and feel filled with shame and regret. Because you know you are capable of better. From this instant on, vow to stop disappointing yourself. Separate yourself from the mob. Decide to be extraordinary and do what you need to do now.